There we go. That's better. I've come out a little bit earlier now. I'm still fucking pouring sweat going up that hill. But yeah, good. At least I can film properly now. Yeah, so my space ran out. But I had a few more thoughts I wanted to add. Anxiety. Mate, there's dog shit everywhere here. It's crazy. I guess here it's a little bit far for there to be a bin, but still kind of crazy. Yeah, so a couple of things I didn't really get a chance to touch on. One is I think anxiety is really addictive. It's there's almost an adrenaline rush that comes with it, and I noticed sometimes after I'd have like bout of anxiety or panic or whatever, sometimes I get this kind of oddly pleasant endorphin rush. I'd feel it going away. It's a bit like when you eat really hot food, or when you take a cold shower, or when you put yourself in pain in some way, the feeling of the pain fading away. You know, if you injure yourself, you hurt yourself in some way, and the pain starts to fade away and it feels really good, the feeling of it going away. And I think, come on Luna, I think the feeling of anxiety going away is can be quite nice, and the feeling itself of the anxiety is stimulating. So it becomes physically addictive, and I think it's a weird self-perpetuating thing where, fucking hell, where the more anxious you become, the more anxious you become, kind of, you know, it's sort of circular, and it just becomes part of your brain's neural pathways, you know, you just get used to it and it becomes normal. So I think breaking that in some way is really necessary, and it can become so normal that you don't even notice it. I used to have situations, I used to have, as I've kind of alluded to or talked about on this channel before, a lot of drama with my ex, really bad, and I would have times where afterwards my heart was I'd feel in my brain, you know, in my mind, I would feel kind of normal. I'd be like, oh, that was fucking, you know, that was a shit situation or whatever, but I'd just kind of move on. And then I would be like, what's happening to my body? I'd feel lightheaded. I feel my heart beating out of my chest. I feel my heart beating so fast. And I always found the disconnect between mind and body in that situation to be really disconcerting, because it was my body was clearly intensely stressed out, and I'd gotten so used to it that I didn't even register the feeling. And I think a lot of people are so anxious they don't even know what anxiety feels like. It's just part of the background hum of life. I don't think it has to be that way, and it was at times for me. Another thing is, because, you know, on the one hand you could say it's not too bad to go through hardship and difficulty and stress and pain and whatever, and I kind of agree, but the thing with anxiety is it releases cortisol, the stress hormone, as I'm sure you're all aware, and that just destroys you physically. If you look into the effects of cortisol, effects of excess cortisol production, or just cortisol in general, the effect it has on your body and your long-term health and your sleep and your mental health, your mind, everything. Cortisol is one of these things that seems to wreak havoc on basically everything in your body, and it's linked with depression, obesity, cancer, you know, increased mortality rates, insomnia, everything. And I think therein lies the main problem with anxiety. It's not just the feeling itself that feels crap, it's the fact that when it's gone, you're still suffering the consequences of it. It's fucking dark here, isn't it? The sun's behind me. And just taking a piss. And I think that gets overlooked a lot, you know, because people kind of think of it as just a feeling, but I think it's more than that. It has a lot of consequences. It's bad for you. Yeah, I've seen it in people. I've seen people get so used to it and so addicted to stress they almost seek it out, because it's like it's almost more comfortable for some part of them to be stressed. And I think I've probably been that way myself. I noticed it. I mean, obviously, I mentioned in the other one, I think weed can really exacerbate anxiety. I'm sure everyone watching knows that, you know, like if you have things to be anxious about, or even if you don't, even if you're just that way inclined, it can really exacerbate anxiety. And one of the things I notice a lot with that is I would smoke, I'd like have a bong or whatever, and I'd get the physical sensation of anxiety, and then my brain would have to come up with a reason, a justification for this. So I'd be scanning through everything that was going on in my life, and everything that's going on around me, to be like, what am I anxious about? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way? I just feel that way, you know. I don't feel that way for a reason. It's not helpful, it's not useful, it's not good. Obviously, like, you know, it can alert you to danger and stuff, but otherwise, you know, it's useless. Whoa. And yeah, you know, the feeling comes first and then the thoughts follow. And that was quite illuminating to me, because I think that's what happens a lot. We think that we're anxious about the things we're anxious about, and we're not necessarily. Like, we don't have to be, you know. Those things don't have to come with a sort of bodily response that makes you feel like shit and damages your health. They can just be things you think about and intellectualize and say, okay, I should avoid this thing, or this thing's not good, or this could cause problems for me. You don't have to feel that way about it. I always avoided reading philosophy or spiritual stuff or things like that, because I sort of arrogantly felt like I had all of that already in my own head, and I kind of understood it all. And so I avoided it. And then recently I started just changing a lot of things in my life. I started looking at stuff like that more, and because my ex, who I'm still very good friends with, she started buying a lot of books on like Buddhism and Stoicism and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I understand all of it, you know. And I like both those kind of, I like Buddhism and Stoicism, you know, but in my mind I was like, I get it already, because I had this arrogant idea that I'm this little fucking genius who, like, you know, has fucking figured out every world religion and belief system and philosophy before I was even introduced to it. And even if that were true, which it wasn't, or isn't, it's still so useful to read these things. Like, I've been reading this book, Invincible, this book on Stoicism. I've just been reading it for a few minutes every day, like while I've been doing other stuff. While I've been sunning my testicles, actually, you must know, a little experiment I've been doing. Someone commented on one of my videos about this a while ago, actually, about ball sunning, scrotal tanning, and I was like, nah, man, that sounds crazy. You know, I'd looked into it before, and I was like, I think it's bollocks, and I'm not sure now. I really don't know. There have been some interesting studies on it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the sun can actually get into your balls that way, or why it would be good, and normally heat is not good for them. But anecdotally, a lot of people report benefits, and I thought I'd just give it a try, because I have a patch, like a window, where the sun gets in. So I've been spending like 10 or 15 minutes a day reading this book, the Stoicism book, and sunning my balls. It's been an interesting sort of combination. I would definitely recommend it. It's good, you know, a little 15 minute break. It's a good book. A lot of it is laid out very clearly, because I'm not a super focused reader, because I think I've like rotted my brain a bit with the internet and stuff. So it's quite good because it's a lot of quotes, a lot of sections, a lot of small chunks, very digestible, easy to read. And so much of that is it's mostly reiterating the same concept. And I think there's a tendency for people to be like, yeah, I get that concept. And that's like what I said, what I did, you know, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. There's no point being bothered by things that you can't control, you know, because that is the essential the sort of core tenet of it, I think, is like, you know, there's stuff that you can control, which you should think about and care about, and there's stuff which you can't control, which there is no point caring about, and you're just wasting your energy and time worrying about these things. But I think sometimes you have to keep circling these ideas and looking at them presented in different ways and going over them again and again for them to actually sink in and to actually get something out of them. Let me get a bit of this scenery in. Look at this shit. Fucking nice out here, man. You have to sort of absorb them in different ways. You're right, Luna. How you doing? This is fucking amazing. I'm going to do a lot more videos with this thing. I got that one home yesterday. It was a fucking disaster. I was looking at it like, Jesus Christ. Thought I was going to come out here, film the scenery, nice backdrop. Just fucking close-up HD footage of my sweat-covered head. It's horrible. I uploaded it anyway because I thought the content was decent, but Jesus. Anyway, yeah, so it is mostly about that, you know. But it's been so helpful, like, and I find if I go a few days without looking at any of it, it starts to fade away a bit. It's like it's weird, because again, I've always had this idea, like, I know it, I don't need to read it again, I get it. And I've done that with everything. But the closer you are to it, and the more it's part of your life, and the more you remind yourself of it, the more power it actually has. And it's just been coming up a lot. Like the other day, I sent my rent to the wrong account. I tried to pay my rent. It's so fucking stupid, man. I have all these old payees on my phone, and it's annoying. I did actually try to delete them before, and it wouldn't let me on the fucking NatWest app. But I have loads of old payees, and some of them I think are people I was buying bitcoins from this Bitcoin exchange where you buy, you know, directly. Some of them, I guess, maybe were like drug dealers. There was a couple of times drug dealers like accepted bank transfers back in the day. I have no idea who this payee was, because they were just saved. They didn't have a name. They were saved as 140, like 140. So hang on. I had a warning from my phone that the temperature was too hot to use the camera. I had to shut down, so it might shut down again. Suddenly it is pretty fucking hot, to be fair. I've got it right out in the sun. Yeah, so I sent it to this account anyway. I don't know who the fuck it was. It was so stupid. It was the first payee listed. So I sent my rent to them, and there's not much you can do in that situation apart from tell the bank, and they go through this lengthy process of trying to contact the person, and maybe they can get it back, maybe they can't. You know, there's ultimately like nothing you do. It is technically a crime to keep it, but I'm not even in the UK, and it's just, yeah, it's not exactly a big crime. You know, it's a small claims court thing. As much as I've always wanted to go to small claims court, I'm not going to go home to do it. And I had to use it a lot then, because I did initially. I fucking freaked out, man. Like I was really uncomfortable about this, and then I just kept thinking like there's no, I shouldn't have this strong emotional attachment to that money, because all that's doing is hurting me. It's just causing me pain right now. I should want the money. I shouldn't deliberately give it away. It does matter, but my happiness should not be inexorably linked to a positive result in this situation. And that has been very helpful in a lot of situations recently, just thinking, nothing you can do, you know, it's out of my hands. It's out of my hands, so I need to just stop. I need to just stop thinking about it. I need to let it go and hope for the best. That is a fucking powerful idea, man. Like, it really helps a lot. And I wish I had thought that way more when I was younger, because I wasted so much of my life stressed out and anxious, and it fucked me up. I think it fucked me up physically, did all sorts of shit, and now I'm finally learning how to like chill out, you know. There's a feeling I've had before. It's a feeling I would get. I haven't tripped for ages. I want to do some of those. I've been looking at those truffles you can buy online. I'm going to get some of those. But there's a feeling I would get after a trip, like a long acid trip or something, especially if it went well, you know, not a bad one, where you just feel like so free and empty and like just capable of just taking things as they are and just enjoying what's around you, and just I don't know how to explain it. It's like you feel empty. It's like all this shit is gone from you, and you sort of, I just would feel so like loose and present and tranquil. And I know that state's possible. I think, to be fair, meditation is a good way to get there. I don't know if any of you guys meditate. I don't really. I've always wanted to, and I always do it for like 2 weeks, and you know, get on a good run, and then I just stop. I have noticed the benefits. I can't get into it the way I have with like exercise and stuff, but I really want to. I'm sure that gives you a similar feeling, because it's such a good feeling, and I know that you can be like that. And I've seen people who seem to kind of be like that most of the time. I don't think anyone's really like that all the time, but some people, I'm not talking about these fucking fake gurus, you know, the fucking creepy gurus like Eckhart Tolle and shit, man. Those guys piss me off. And the fucking, what's his name, Sad Guru or whatever. Those guys are fucking posers, man. But there are people, you know, who really are, you know, who really do feel like that a lot. And I don't think we have to go around in this permanent state of stress. I don't know. Anyway, so that's my aim, is to try to remove all this like bodily stress that's built up over years, but is also like something that happens in sort of immediacy as well. I don't know if you guys have had any experiences with doing so, or any success with doing so, I should say. Right, I'm gonna turn around now. But yeah, other things, more practical things. Cold showers, that's another thing that helped me enormously with anxiety. Really, really, really massive. There was a while where I was totally dependent on cold showers for my mental well-being. I used to have those every morning, and I've gotten back into it recently, and it's good, but obviously it's like August in Spain, so they're not really that cold. It's not really like, you know, but those were so good. There was a while where really, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't had that. Some supplements help. I think there's a limit, to be honest, personally, to what supplements will do, unless you're looking at stronger stuff like ashwagandha, which does have potential side effects, and I've sort of avoided it for that reason. Some people have gotten a bit like depressed from taking it, had various other issues, but stuff like theanine, magnesium, ginkgo biloba, shit like that. I tend to use those things for sleep more than for anxiety, but those can help. avoiding alcohol, avoiding high GI foods, trying to eat stuff that's like low on the glycemic index and just generally healthy. I think if you're a man as well, optimizing testosterone levels is a very good way of dealing with anxiety, because I think a lot of men who have anxiety, that's why. It's because they're not functioning adequately at like a hormonal level, which is becoming a pretty big problem now. Like testosterone levels are declining, sperm counts are at an all-time low. No one knows exactly why. I mean, there are some pretty obvious reasons. Being indoors all day, consuming plastic, living these weird unnatural lifestyles, not just plastic, but chemicals and plastics in general really fuck people up, I think. I now will sort of avoid all of that shit, even when they say it's safe. How fucking safe can that be, you know? I'm now a bit hesitant to even eat, you know, get like food deliveries and stuff, because you just don't know what the fuck they're doing with it, you know? I had a thing recently, sorry I know it's getting off track a little bit, this video, but I'm just enjoying the novelty of filming with this thing, to be honest, getting all the backdrop in. Come on, Luna. I had an incident recently. We ordered from this place and they sent loads of hot food, and this was like spicy food in oily sauces and shit, and it was in non-heat safe plastic containers. So they'd fucking gone online, bought a bunch of these shitty little salad boxes, you know, the ones you get when you get like a salad, when you fill your own salad box at the supermarket. They were using those for like hot food, you know, like hot spicy sauces and shit. And so we got it and we were like, well, we can't fucking eat this. Complained and everything. And then later on I phoned up and I spoke to a girl at the thing, and I was like, you know, you have to change this. This is like cancer risk, it's a health risk, it's really serious, and it's actually against the law. You've got to stop using these. And she was cool, she took it really seriously. She was like, oh my god, yeah, that's so bad, okay, I'll tell my manager, blah blah blah. Waited a couple of days and ordered again, because the food was really nice. It was actually really, really good food. And also, we wanted to see if they changed it. And they'd changed it on like 3 out of the 5 packets. They were using new packaging. And then 2 of them, they were like, oh, let's see if we can just, you know, we'll just use these up slowly. We won't use it for all the food. We'll just slowly use these packets up. Even though we know now, because I'd written an email to follow up, I phoned them, we know that this isn't safe for people to use. We know that it has foreseeable consequences and potentially a lot of unforeseeable health consequences. They'll just fucking use it anyway, because they don't want to waste the fucking €100 they spent on buying these in bulk. It's ridiculous. I mean, these packets are worth like 2p each, for God's sake. And they couldn't just chuck them in the bin or save them for fucking cold food. They had to try and, you know, sneak those in there as well, get their money's worth. And that is the reality of what it's like at like a restaurant level. They do that shit all the time. They're using non-stick, they're using plastic, they're using shitty chemicals. They don't care if they've rinsed things off properly. The place I used to work at, the kitchen, he showed me how to clean the chopping boards, and he got a bunch of Dettol and he sprayed it all over the board and then wiped it with an old dirty cloth. And I was like, aren't you going to rinse the Dettol off? And he's like, no, you just put the food on there. So it's just putting, every time we made something, we were just like putting fucking Dettol on it. And that shit is not meant to be consumed. We're consuming so much unnatural stuff. Plastic, you know, drinks sitting around in warm plastic for hours, and then we're drinking them. I think it's like time people started seriously trying to assess what's going on, because if you look at the, again, I'm sorry, this is not what the video is supposed to be about, but if you look at the data on sperm counts, it's crazy. It's like a total crisis that for some reason the media are not trying to send everyone into like a clickbait frenzy over. They're just ignoring it. But if it continues declining at this rate, we're looking at complete like underpopulation. Like we're looking at, you know, a society of basically infertile people. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the sperm count aspect is just one of the effects of it. There's loads of other aspects to it. You know, that's the part that we can observe easily. Yeah, so people don't give a shit, and that's at a restaurant level. Imagine at the production level, and imagine the shadiness that goes on when, you know, people are making these plastic utensils for, you know, you've got a pot full of fucking boiling hot greasy sauce and you're dipping a fucking plastic spoon in there, and they're like, it's food safe up to 300 degrees Celsius. It's like, who decided that? How stringent were those tests? And how long term were the observations and results? You know, they fucking weren't. They didn't give a shit. Camera shut off there again. I think it's my battery's low. Yeah, but still, it's a work in progress doing these outdoor ones. So I'm gonna, you know, start preparing more in the future. Charge my phone, go out when it's a bit less hot. But yeah, I think it's been good. So yeah, anyway, cool. Let me know if you have any thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching as usual, and take care. Have a nice day.